there's all these things about the system that are like completely broken. And I mean, if you talked to me 10 years ago, it's like, can we fix the system? Probably not, maybe not. But where we have come with technology and the advancement of technology and actually the regulatory regime that like regulators are becoming more open to like new systems, and we can completely change the system. And we can change the system for the positive.
A quick shot across the 101, just northeast of downtown Los Angeles, and I'm in Pasadena. In my world, Pasadena is known for two things: the Rose Bowl game and home of Caltech.
I would say that my entrepreneur story and journey is really a pursuit of finding out that why, and that why is to help people connect with each other.
Harrison Tang is a Silicon Valley native and currently the co-founder and president of Spokeo. Spokeo is a digital white pages, helping over 18 million people seek information to connect or reunite with others.
We started actually in Silicon Valley. We started in my parents' basement in Saratoga, California, which is right next to Cupertino. And we moved to Pasadena in 2009, 2010. At that time, we only have 6 people, and we literally just drove down our cars to Pasadena, and then along with our servers, and then we're here. So everyone talks about the tech scene in San Francisco, because I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area. I can tell you that culture is very, very unique, and they own that. And I think calling ourselves Silicon Beach or Silicon Alley is not owning who we are. It's trying to copy someone else, and I think that's the wrong way of doing it, actually. We also thought that LA provides this unique work-life experience and balance that Silicon Valley, at that time, we already realized is kind of a bubble. And everyone's just talking about tech and internet. Right?
You didn't want to be like everyone else?
No, I think we always want to be a little bit different. Right? We don't want to only talk about internet, right? We want to talk about commerce, we want to talk about marketing, we want to talk about media, we want to talk about content, and we thought that LA provides that unique diversity.
Passionate about the tech community of Pasadena, Harrison doesn't feel there's any other place to grow Spokeo but here.
Pasadena in general, I think, doesn't get as much of hype or media attention, but the truth is there's a lot of things happening here. And there's a unique opportunity and unique culture in Pasadena. And not just mentioning that good work-life balance that we have in Pasadena, but also the diversity of talents that we have here. The aerospace of JPL, Caltech, very, very fundamental science, arts from the Art Center, and obviously the marketing technologies that really start here in Pasadena. So it's an intersection of all these talents, cultures, industries that makes Pasadena special. And I think what Pasadena can do better, and the challenge that it has to overcome, is to bring that competitive advantage to the front seat. And I think a lot of people don't realize that Pasadena is such a special place, and I think we need to do a better job evangelizing that. Our inflection point happened in 2010, and that's when our traffic started taking off. And prior to 2010, we only have about 6 people, 8 people. And then now we have over 200. So most of the growth actually happened in the past 6 years. And I think the lessons learned is that the inflection point is a reflection of what you do. You can't plan for it. You can't expect it. Instead of trying to chase that inflection point, hoping for something to happen, I try to remind myself every single day to really focus on the fundamentals, really focus on delivering the product value proposition to our core customers, And if you're doing those things right, maybe in the next year or two you don't see any results. But when that opportunity, when that right timing comes, then you'll be ready to take advantage of that.
Hollywood, commonly known as the movie capital of the world, is also one of the most dense populations in Los Angeles County, with over 80,000 residents in a 3.5-mile radius. But what does this densely populated movie capital offer the tech scene?
There's nowhere we would rather be building pavement but here in Hollywood.
Sarah Zurell is the Chief Brand Officer of Pavement. As Pavement puts it, they're building a community of drivers seeking parking with people that have parking to share. Embracing the sharing economy, Pavement's decided to take a leap and launch a robust product to stay ahead of the competition.
So the goal is to really reduce traffic and reduce...
Yeah, reduce traffic by 30% and smog and emission by 30%, because 30% of city traffic is actually caused by people driving in circles looking for parking. Based here in Hollywood, here we have our branding, our marketing, our PR, our design team.
Okay.
We also do all of our business logic, all of our user stories.
So you have the tech part of it, the development part of it in San Francisco. You have the branding, marketing,
creatives here in LA. There's so many people here that move to LA to tell stories.
Yep.
And the basic fundamentals of telling a story is really the same, whether you're making a movie or you're building a brand. We've been in the App Store for a couple months, but we're not marketing it. When you first downloaded Uber, if you opened it up and there was never a car, you would never open it up again. It's the same thing with us. If you open it up and to find parking, you're going to open it once.
If you didn't see anything.
And you're never going to open it again.
All startups in new markets have risks, but needing a place to park has always been a problem, even when we needed to tie up our horse. Pavement is solving a real problem, and one that will exist in the future, when perhaps our drone vehicles communicate directly to a platform like Pavement to park and charge between dropping us off and picking up other passengers.
We're definitely glad that we've kind of decided to go full featured. It just means that we are making a lot of assumptions that hopefully are right. But when you make a lot of assumptions, you also learn things every single day as your assumptions are sometimes shattered. And you have to rework them. And I think personally for me, the thing that I learned the very most is to just always trust my gut, because it's usually right, whether it comes to hiring or a branding choice or the name or anything, and just to speak up, even though sometimes it can be difficult, especially as like a female in tech, and to say exactly what I think and what I mean, and to be direct and to not be afraid that the person sitting next to you is going to disagree, and that a healthy debate is often the way you land on the perfect solution.
Another sunny day in Santa Monica. The city is known for averaging 310 days of sunshine per year, and today is just another average day.
I feel like we have a lot of people that are like storytellers at the end of the day. And when you're building a brand, that's kind of what you're doing. You're telling a story to an audience.
Andrew Blackmon is the co-founder and co-CEO of the Black Tux. The Black Tux provides modern formal wear online, saving you the regretful embarrassment of wearing a box-fitting suit and plastic shoes.
We started it 5 years ago. I got married. At the time, my fiance basically said, like, your responsibility is to make sure you and your groomsmen are dressed appropriately, looking good for the wedding. And that was an unusually challenging thing that I didn't expect. And through that process, I originally wanted people to buy a suit, but it was a little bit too expensive for the age we were at, so we were forced into renting. And what we realized is that the rental experience is broken. We used, for my wedding, a big box retailer. And at the end of the day, we had these big, baggy suits that looked like we were in our dad's old clothing. And one of my groomsmen and I thought, like, we should reinvent the entire process, make it more convenient, better quality, give people a suit that fits, that feels like something that's tailored for them, and leverage the internet to deliver on those promises. So for me personally, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I like to do what makes sense to me in the moment and haven't often wanted my life to be prescribed for me.
Yep.
This specific industry, it was such a personal experience that I think sometimes the best companies and brands are built from somebody who has experienced it firsthand and knows how it can be improved. So my co-founder and I, we experienced this firsthand, and we were like walking away, wow, we should absolutely try to do something in this industry because we had such a poor customer experience.
Yep.
And as we talked to other people, we realized that was kind of a similar understanding of the tux rental industry. Is this industry is not great, and there can be improvements.
As a fashion e-commerce company, you might want to ask, why Los Angeles and not New York?
That's a good question, because a lot of people expected us to be in New York. My co-founder actually went to NYU for business school, so we did have this conversation, do we want to start this in LA or New York? And to us, it was actually immediately let's do it in LA. At the time, the funding market and I would say the startup world was kind of small, but it seemed like it was blossoming. And we both had went to college here, so we thought that's a great place to start a company because a lot of the resources are coming to LA, there's a lot of talent coming to LA, and it's just such a great place to have a lifestyle. So we decided, to us it was kind of a no-brainer. We thought about New York for maybe 2 minutes. So for our business, a big advantage, I think, is ability to attract creatives to the company. We're building a brand, and LA is known for content, creativity, Hollywood is part of this, so I think it's kind of in the DNA. So for us, we've been able to get really good people on the brand and the creative side.
Any disadvantage of being in LA that you find?
For us, the disadvantage is that the fashion capital of the US is New York City. So I spend a lot of time in New York City, meeting editors and making sure that going to shows for men's fashion weeks to make sure that the things that we're producing are on trend and kind of are the right things we want to be producing. The biggest lesson learned was how challenging logistics and operations are. So to run a tuxedo rental shop, you have to have dry cleaning, tailoring, all these value-add services in your warehouse that you can't just shell this out to a third party to run your logistics. You have to develop that in-house. So that was really challenging. The technology to support that was also really challenging to build. The demand and the growth for our service has been there pretty organically since day one. So it was also a surprise that we haven't had to spend a ton of time on that. But as we grow larger and want to acquire new customers, that does start to become something we think about a lot.
The Black Tux took a quick lead in an untapped marketplace of men's formal wear. By being early to the market, the company has found an even larger vision.
So our goal is actually not to just disrupt tuxedo rental, but formal wear as a whole. If you think about it, there's no formal wear brand that exists. If the things that might come to mind are the Men's Warehouse or maybe J. Crew, but those are not formal wear brands. So there's a space in this market for somebody to develop content about how to dress for formal events, not only weddings, but proms, things like that. And we want to be the people that not only rent, but also sell and are the authority in the formal wear space.
Nothing says tech better than a tech conference. Today we stopped by Lowe's Santa Monica Beach Hotel to visit a few friends and check out a tech event called Vator Splash.
So Vator is simply just an awesome network for entrepreneurs and investors. We have about 150,000 on our platform. We bring them together. Our mission really is to find some of the greatest startups out there and help them and get them funded.
Bambi Francisco Roizen is the founder of Vator and the managing partner of Vator Investment Club. Vator started as a side project for Bambi when she was a columnist and correspondent at the Dow Jones Market Watch. Vator has now grown into a startup investment network with over 10,000 startups and 3,000 investors.
They've identified about 200 over the last 6 years, and they've gone on to raise about $1 billion in follow-on capital. So if you think of us as a little bit of a quasi-accelerator because we put these events on to educate them, bring them together. At the same time, we also introduce them to a lot of VCs, early stage VCs. Our new direction for Vator is our Vator Investment Club. So now we're starting to invest in companies too.
Oh, you guys are investing as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Bambi working out of San Francisco, it's compelling to see that Los Angeles has made it on the radar for both Vator's investments and events.
My background's a journalist, and I always considered myself an analyst looking at investments, and this was in the stock market, in the public stock market. What I realized was that the closer you got to an IPO, the closer you got to an opportunity to actually realize a return. And so then when I got to the IPO, I realized, wait a second, they're really starting off a lot younger than the IPO. And the IPO was actually quite late in the game. And so I started going back to where they started, and I just like the idea of creating new things, and I like working with the startups. I like helping to figure out how to innovate and be part of, be a product that's consumable by other enterprises or consumers. One of the reasons we really like LA is because, unlike Silicon Valley, it is still sort of emerging. There are very few people, and I think when you want to create an ecosystem, you come together. And when we come to LA, everyone comes together. It's dispersed up in Silicon Valley because there's so much of it. The investing is sort of 3 to 1. In San Francisco alone, in LA. So when we come to LA, we notice that everybody just they're friends, they're not foes. And so it becomes a much more richer and exciting place to be in.
It actually started with my co-founder. He grew up on a hippie commune up in Ojai, California, where they were doing wholesale buying of natural and organic products back in the 80s and 90s. He had kind of had in the back of his head for 20 years, would love to bring that model, nationwide.
Interesting.
He and I met and said, let's do it.
Nick Green, a Los Angeles transplant by way of Minnesota and New York, is the co-founder and co-CEO of Thrive Market. Thrive Market provides affordable access online to natural foods and products at wholesale prices.
We're on a mission to make healthy living affordable for anyone. And basically take the Costco model of a membership club. People pay $60 a year, combine it with a catalog that you might find at a place like Whole Foods, and it's the first time that you can actually go and buy Whole Foods type products at prices that are similar to a conventional product. But then what we also know is that some people can't afford the $60. So we actually will donate a free membership to a low-income family, a teacher, a student, a veteran, or first responder for every paid membership on the site. We've given away hundreds of thousands to date. Really trying to push the envelope on how do we create an inclusive company that isn't just delivering a service for really affluent millennials, but is for everyone, regardless of where you live, regardless of your income level, regardless of your age. There's no better place to be if you're focused on health and wellness. I mean, we're really, LA's the epicenter of the health and wellness movement. LA's really developed an interesting tech ecosystem around entertainment, content, creative, which have really good communities here. It has historically, I think, been more challenging to bring in great tech talent and to attract on engineers. But one of the interesting things I think that's happened over the last year or so is a lot of engineers are actually coming down from San Francisco to LA, and it used to be the other direction. The big macro thing for us has been dealing with insane growth and learning how to manage that and learning when to actually pull back, because we've gone from 0 to we'll do over $100 million in sales in our second year. That's a lot of growth to pack into 2 years.
Unique to Nick, as a second-time tech founder, he enjoys solving problems with a greater social impact than just growth. The rapid growth of Thrive Market is exciting, but for Nick, making healthy living more affordable is the most important part of the process.
Arguably the biggest health problem in this country is the lifestyle diseases associated with our diets of highly processed food, conventional industrial agriculture, and the shift towards a macronutritional composition that's sugar laden and artificial. And we think that type 2 diabetes, hypertension, obesity are problems that can be solved. And if you look back 50 or 100 years ago when people were eating a more natural, simple, organic diet, those problems didn't exist. We also think now's the time because people are starting to wake up to it. For me personally, having done the entrepreneurial thing a couple of times, this one it was really important that it was solving a big problem that I really cared about. And I don't think there's any problem bigger than this.
Just far enough away from the hustle of Los Angeles proper. Today we're in Manhattan Beach. For me, this place has its own vibe, a true classic Southern California beach community.
Our whole goal with this is basically like democratize this asset class, because historically the only people that can access these type of investments, these real estate loan investments, were extremely wealthy individuals, institutions, and like the name behind PeerStreet is always about like leveling the playing field between Main Street and Wall Street. People always ask, they're like, well, what's the ethos behind this? It's like, it's peer-to-peer lending. It's like, no, it's more about like, hey, I should be able to invest in the exact same thing that Goldman Sachs does, or PIMCO does, as an individual.
Brew Johnson, CEO and founder of PeerStreet. Brew's a lawyer by trade, but no doubt an entrepreneur by heart. PeerStreet is the first marketplace that provides open access to real estate loan investments.
I started my career as a real estate attorney. That was during the housing bubble. That really was the precursor to the financial crisis. And so nothing that was happening in the market made sense to me, like intuitively. It's like, wow, this was obviously it was a complete house of cards. So I ended up leaving the law in 2006 and I went to work for a tech company. It was my brother's tech company that I'd helped him found when I was in law school, but I said, basically I convinced him to sell the company because I had 100% certainty that this financial crisis was looming. So we sold that company to TripAdvisor and Expedia in July of 2008.
Oh, wow.
When you go back to that, that was kind of like, I've been frustrated with the overall mortgage system for 10 plus years. But then when I got in the tech world and saw stuff like Lending Club and Prosper were doing early on in peer-to-peer lending and kind of being on a day-to-day operation of a tech company, you say, wow, this is just, you could do something in real estate and mortgages that is so much more efficient and so much better for depositors, investors, borrowers. It kind of takes a lot of the systemic risk out of the system. There's all these things about the system that are like completely broken. And I mean, if you talked to me 10 years ago, it's like, can we fix the system? Probably not, maybe not. But where we have come with technology and the advancement of technology and actually the regulatory regime that like regulators are becoming more open to like new systems, and we can completely change the system. And we can change the system for the positive. The biggest issue is like, all right, how do you go solve these problems? Like, what is the right way to do it? Because you don't want to solve every problem because it's impossible because there's so many problems. So it's like, for us, like early on, it's like we knew what we wanted to do, and we thought we had the idea of like, all right, instead of like curing all these symptoms, let's cure the disease over the whole system. We proved up the business model in a very specific way, and we think we took a very kind of tech approach to this very arcane, offline type business of kind of creating this like centralized infrastructure, centralized hub of technology that other kind of type businesses could plug into and improve their business by doing that. And so now we're in this situation where that idea we had 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago of like, hey, let's provide access to any type of investor, whether it's an individual or institution, to this great asset class. Let's allow them to do it in a better way. That's proving out now. It's like, I mean, my mom invests on our platform, my mom's friends invest in the platform, my brother invests in the platform, and they're investing around in the same asset that some of the largest financial institutions in the world are investing in, and that's a pretty cool thing of like that democratization of it, and like it feels like we're doing it the right way, and we're providing a lot of value to a lot of different parties. So.
Location is everything. Brew has the advantage being close to the Los Angeles banking industry and can still build his company within the peaceful backdrop of Manhattan Beach.
If you're raising capital for a tech company, well, Silicon Valley or Northern California is the place to be, right? Brett Crosby, my co-founder, our COO, he wrote an article on Medium where he talked about location, right? His first company that he sold to Google, he said, if I was in the Bay Area, he did this company out of San Diego. He said, if we were in the Bay Area, I would have sold it twice as fast and for twice as much money. They'd rather invest in something right in their backyard than go visit the company, right? So that's
exactly, we hear that a lot.
So that's slightly, I mean, that's a disadvantage. On the flip side, we talk about how the LA tech scene is evolving and how more and more tech leaders and CEOs and other people are moving down here. I mean, lowercase capital, the fact that they they're headquartered in LA, I think it's a big deal, right? There's more and more of that happening. And so you see more and more VCs focusing on LA because it's a little more of a diverse tech scene, I think. So look, there's definitely some disadvantages, but the pros, I think, at least for our type of business and for what we look for and the type of, and what we're doing, I think there's more advantages to being here.